gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January the 17th, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And man, it's a big day for the Miami Hurricanes basketball team with Florida State coming to town, a hot Florida State team at that. But before we get to that and talk a little bit of basketball, which some people will like, some won't, but they should like, because it's a critical point of the season for the basketball team, which only made the Final Four last year. But we're going to continue the conversation about quarterbacks in the wake of the Cam Ward arrival in Coral Gables. He was wrapping up his admission into school yesterday and getting himself settled down here in South Florida. And it all happened very, very fast. But as part of our postseason process, we're taking a look at different positions, obviously, on the team. And needless to say, Matt, we had to do a little bit of a rewrite on the quarterback position evaluation with Cam Ward coming in. And his arrival is going to have a trickle-down effect as well for the other quarterbacks in the program. You know, Jakari Brown, Emory Williams for sure, Judd Anderson coming in. So suddenly the quarterback position is taking on an entirely new look, I guess is the best word to use.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for forcing me to be on the show once again. It's always not a pleasure to be here. So I guess in terms of the quarterbacks, we sort of already talked about it, but yeah, you're right. We did have to rewrite it because, with how crazy things are in the portal and with recruiting and with the football team and basketball, we have to pre-write a lot of things. And the quarterback analysis is one that I actually had started to write before Cam Ward committed. And I wish I had kept the copy so I could read some of it to you, because it was just blistering, like they need a great portal quarterback. This is not good enough at quarterback U, blah, 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 blah. And now it's glowing. You read the story this morning and it's all stars and whatever you guys like out there. I don't know, pumpkins and whatever candy is your favorite candy. Everything's fantastic. It's all rainbows and unicorns, blah, 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 blah. Because of Cam Ward. But, to me, he's great. He's the one I wanted. He's a 10. He's everything. Somebody asked me to rate Cam Ward versus Will Rogers versus Talia, and I put Cam at 10. I think I put Will at, if I'm trying to remember now, I think Will was a 6 and Talia was like a 5. Like, that's the difference. I mean, this is a top tier NFL
fairness,
level.
It's probably not that big of a difference. Your opinions are a little bit radical. Let's be honest. I mean, it probably the gap between the ability of Will Rogers and Cam Ward is probably not 10-5.
Well, I respectfully disagree. I'm extremely high.
You are perfectly entitled.
Okay, well, here's the thing with Will Rogers, okay? Because I'm sure you've researched him as thoroughly as I have. They were happy when he left. They were as happy when he left as when as Tyler Van Dyke made Miami fans. Like, I don't need that guy. I want a guy who the fans are like, no, he left. This is terrible. He was so great. That's Cam Ward. You want Will Rogers? They were happy to have him leave that program. They feel they have a better guy behind him, okay? I'll take Cam Ward every time. You know what? I'm changing it. Will Rogers is a 2. Cam Ward's a 10. Will Rogers is a 2. Okay? But anyway.
Rogers is a 2 or Will Howard's a 2.
I'm sorry. Will they both are. Will Rogers and Will Howard.
So the Will Rogers.
I was talking about Will Rogers. Will Howard, they weren't.
Will Rogers, who I think has thrown for more yards than any modern day SEC quarterback, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Will Howard. That's not hard. Will Rogers is the guy that I believe they were happy to have him leave. These Will guys, they're very they
Will are both 2s, regardless of.
No, Will Howard is better. Will Howard to me was a better option than Will Rogers. But whatever. Anyway. I have to look again to see which Will was the one that they wanted to get rid of. So whatever, I'm not looking it up right now. I don't care. They're both 2s. Let's just leave them at 2s. All right. Their first name's Will. I'm very confused. I don't care anymore. We have Cam Ward. It doesn't matter.
And Talia, what's he? A 3?
I had him as I think I had him as a 5, a 4 or 5, somewhere in there. He's okay, but he's 5'11". He did really, really well at Maryland, but he has some issues. He's an NFL free agent. Cam Ward's an NFL 3rd-round pick.
All right,
there's a reason for that.
Welcome to Miami, where the Miami Hurricanes have the only quarterback in college football worth a damn.
I think so. I think the portal, it was a clear difference to me between Cam Ward and the rest. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. Everyone knows, look, other than you, everyone knows Cam Ward's head and shoulders above everyone else that was in the portal. So what I'm sort of really curious about is what happens behind Cam Ward this spring, because even if the media is not allowed at a lot of practices, even if the media is forbidden from asking who's the number 2 quarterback, the players will know who the number 2 quarterback is.
You out there either listening to you. I mean, the way you rate players and disregard players. I mean, let you out to practice. You'd be ripping everybody left and right. I thought I was tough when I make statements like, I'm not going back there. I did way too much heat, but I thought I was the tough evaluator of talent. You're like way worse than me.
So what I'm curious is when the players that are at quarterback behind Cam Ward, they're going to know who's better than who. They're going to, regardless how they split the second team reps, those players, anybody who's played sports, oh, that guy's better than me, or oh, I'm better than that guy. You know that. It's common sense after watching 15 practices and how you're working in the meeting rooms and the sort of grading out you're getting from the coaches. So I'm extremely curious in that second portal window what happens, because Reese Poffenbarger, I don't know how you say his name, Reese whatever, and Jakari Brown, Emory Williams isn't going anywhere. Even if he's 3rd string, he's going to be sticking around because, he just had 1 year. He could always redshirt. It's not a big deal to him. But if you're Jakari, if you're Reese, you sort of need to be the number 2 guy. Because if you're not, and if you stick, then you're going to be the 3rd string guy the next year, or the 2nd string guy, I should say, behind. Because once Cam Ward's gone, those 2 guys come back, let's say, one's ahead of the other in the spring. What's to say it's going to be any different the following year? That's how coaches view them now. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, because my guess is one of those 2 guys leaves. And if Reese does indeed enroll for the spring, it doesn't mean he's going to play this season. And if Jakari, is behind Reese in the spring, and I think the expectation was when they had Reese commit to Miami, the expectation was he's going to be the starter. Like, yeah, they're going to compete, but Reese had a slight leg up on Jakari and Emory coming in. That's why they bought him in. Experienced guy, let these other 2 guys, spend another year in the system. So Reese would have another year. And Jakari does not want to be behind anyone else. Like I don't think he'll mind sitting behind Cam Ward as long as he knows he'll be the guy the next year. But for him to sit behind Cam Ward and take that risk and not play again and then try to find a new home when he has no experience in a new system, I don't know what you do at that point. So I do think one of those 2 guys will be gone at some point before the season. I think Emory will stay no matter what. Obviously, they have another freshman, Judd Anderson. So I think they will have 4 quality quarterbacks this spring, just not 5. This fall, just not 5. That's my opinion. Call me crazy. And yeah, I think Cam Ward's a home run. I think they're in extremely good hands this coming season. I think I'm actually excited about the quarterbacks room. I was in the basketball media room yesterday, and somebody was saying how great Cam Ward is, and Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald starts yelling, "I hear this every year. Every year there's a 5-star. Every year somebody thinks the quarterback's great." And we're trying to explain to her, like no, this is different. This isn't a guy who they signed as a 5-star or 4-star that they think is going to be good, who never had a great string of years. This is a guy who has always been great. Whether he was at Incarnate Ward, whether he's at Washington State, he's never failed. The only time he failed was in high school when they threw the ball 5 times a game. That's how much they threw in high school. No joke. That's why he couldn't get any scholarship offers. He's always been great. He's a top 3-round, 4-round NFL pick who might be a 1st-round pick. I mean, I was talking to his quarterback trainer. His quarterback trainer says, nobody knows what the quarterback order is going to be in 2025. He might be the number 1 pick, if he has a great year.
Like a guy on a profit-sharing plan.
I don't think he's going to be the number 1 pick, but I could see him being a 1st-round pick. I mean, he's got every tangible and intangible. You want extremely bright, athletic enough. Why are you shaking your head? He was number one.
I'm just not used to this. Like, I'm not used to this positivity.
Well, I just know how it is. Dude,
I mean,
the team's been
on the planet. You're taking a kid that probably evaluates right now in the 4th round.
When's the last time Miami had a 4th round NFL draft pick?
I understand, but you're putting him in the 1st round. You're saying he's the only good quarterback in the country, and I hope you're right. Don't get me wrong.
I didn't say the only good quarterback in the country. I said in the portal, he was head and shoulders above everybody else.
3rd and 4th best.
In the portal, he was head and shoulders above everyone else.
3, 4s, and 5s out of 10. So
those were portal guys.
Yeah, but they're portal guys
they're portal guys for a reason. They were leaving major. Will Rogers and Will Howard are leaving major programs. They're not coming from Division I AA or from Incarnate Ward or whatever. They were Power 5 quarterbacks who were transferring for a reason.
All right. The bottom line is I'm not used to this kind of positivity.
Well, the only
little refreshing. It's refreshing.
The other misnomer. Well, it's not really a misnomer, but people took what the personal quarterback trainer of Cam Ward said and ran with it. And I don't know what other people are saying on these blogs or whatever, but I mean, the trainer spoke to me, so I pretty much know what he meant and what he said. And when he said that Cam has been working extremely hard under center, when he said, I expect that Miami is going to do more of a pro-style offense for Cam Ward because that's how Cam Ward improves his draft stock. That's what Cam Ward wants. That's what Cam Ward needs. It doesn't mean Cam Ward's going to be under center all the time. It means, they might have him under center a heck of a lot more than last year, which was 0 times. Okay. Maybe 5-10 times a game, I'm guessing. He didn't mean he's going to be under center all the time. And pro-style concepts, they're still going to spread out the field. Shannon Dawson's not rewriting his entire offensive playbook for Cam Ward, is what I'm trying to tell you guys, okay? They will do more pro-style concepts. There will still be RPO, but there will be more under center is what I understand. And, that's a great thing. That's fine. People are, freaking out over it. It's little tweaks to the offense. These coordinators do tweaks every single year. You have to do that to match your personnel. And you know what? If that's what makes Cam Ward better, if that's what makes Cam Ward happy, then I'm all for it, man. I'm here for the show. I'm here for the Cam Ward show.
I'm glad to hear you're fired up. I am too. I'm very excited to see what this offense looks like with Cam Ward. But it's interesting because there is a trickle-down effect here. The outlook for next season has certainly changed for Emory Williams. I know he's coming off the injury and all that, but Emory's got to be sitting there thinking that he would have liked to have competed to be the starter next year. Now he's probably competing to be the number 2 quarterback again, which at his stage of development is fine. He's going to be a redshirt freshman. It's all positive for Emory Williams. I hope he looks at it that way. He's a great kid, and he can continue to progress. And
by the way, let's clear this up also. It was Will Howard that the fans at Kansas State were happy to see him. They had no problem seeing him go. They like Avery Johnson more.
It
was Will Howard, not Will Rogers. I'm sorry, Will Rogers.
We'll
Change
see.
your first name. It's very confusing.
I can't wait to see what
by the way, I'm still not so high on Will Rogers, by the way. But it was Will Howard.
Will Rogers, I don't know, but we're going to see what kind of season Will Howard has at Ohio State. And we're going to see what kind of season Tyler Van Dyke has.
Yeah, I know. You're predicting Tyler Van Dyke throws for 40 touchdowns with no interceptions. I already know. Ferman.
Numbers are going to be, but I know Phil Longo is a pretty good coach and a good offense coordinator. And I think if Tyler Van Dyke stays healthy at Wisconsin, that he will have a very good season there.
Did you watch the Wisconsin offense this year with, I think it was Tanner Mordecai, and they have one of the best running backs in the country, and they couldn't do anything. So we'll see. I mean, their defense is great. Their offense was not good this year.
I have not paid a lot of attention, but I'm assuming that they will that they are getting talent in the portal and that they're doing things that they can do to make their team better. So we'll see what they surround Tyler Van Dyke with. But so Emory Williams, I think just needs to stay the course, and just keep developing. And it's now, unless something happens to Cam Ward, it's about 2025 for him. Jakari Brown, same thing. Keep progressing as a player and improving your game and getting more accurate as a passer so that you're positioned to compete for the 2025 starting job. Because if these guys exit the season and they're not they don't have the confidence of their coaches that they can be top line starters, they're going to go in the portal again next year and get a quarterback. So, there's a lot on the line, even though they're not the focal point for Emory Williams, Ja'Cory Brown, and to a lesser degree, Judd Anderson, because he's just coming into the program. But they have to improve. They have an urgency to improve right now, even though it looks like that the Canes have a QB1 going into next season. So it's going to be interesting, Matt. Just as interesting in watching Cam Ward, I think it's going to be watching the competition and progression of these other three guys.
Well, look,
possibly
fans are not going to be talking about Ja'Cory Brown and Emory Williams unless there's an injury issue. And to me, the other sideshow to all this, because like I said, we're right ahead. The tight ends and the receivers, man, they need to be better. And I know Miami's pursuing some portal options at receiver and probably will continue to do so in the second portal window unless they grab somebody here in the next, 7 days left before the end of enrollment ends at Miami for the semester. But the tight ends, everyone says, Elijah Arroyo would have been such a huge difference. He's done nothing. He has, I think, 14 career catches, He's done nothing. Riley Williams dropped 2 passes and caught 7 or 8 passes, Cam McCormick, I don't even know what his status is. I emailed the Miami Sports Information guy yesterday, is Cam McCormick still on the roster? And no response, which is the same amount of impact that Cam McCormick had on the team last year. None, in my opinion. Sorry, Cam. I know Cam was mad at me because I called him a blocking tight end. But he was, he was. I don't know what else to tell you. He's like, I just laugh. You remember that? I just laugh when people say I'm a blocking tight end. And then they try to throw him the ball the next game and he dropped 2 passes. I don't want to hate on Cam McCormick, but I just did. So it's too late now. Sorry. Hopefully I don't run into Cam McCormick in the next, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because he's so old that he probably has memory loss like I do, and he'll forget after 2 or 3 weeks. So I just got to sort of lay low now for the next 3 weeks. But the tight ends and the receivers are the biggest obstacle to Cam Ward because he's got all the talent in the world. Tight ends, I don't see them really being this major factor next season unless somehow Elijah Lofton shows up and is breaking records for a freshman, and then the receivers, who do they have? Who do they have at receiver? Everyone loves Xavier Restrepo, and I get it, but the dude averaged 4 yards after catch per game, the worst on the entire team. He just was targeted a ridiculous amount because he tends to get open for 5, 10, 15-yard catches. So you add up enough catches that are 5, 10, 15 yards, you wind up with 100 yards a game and 1,000 yards in a season. But is he a guy that breaks games open and makes defenses safeties play deeper and opens the run game for you? No. You need a deep threat. You need somebody who scares the top off a defense. And Miami right now doesn't seem to have that. You can say, but they have, Horton's waiting to break out. Isaiah Horton. But Jacoby George, who I don't know where Mario goes with that. Something Jacoby, he had 5 penalties called against him this season. Do you know what the next highest was for the receiving group? 1. 1. He had 5 penalties. I think most of them were personal fouls in 13 games. That's hard to do. I don't even think I'd be able to do that if I tried. And by the way, I will add, as an aside, because people hate my stories, so I'm going to torture them. When my son played Bethlehem basketball when he was in probably 4th or 5th grade, we forced him to play. He hated sports. My other son loved sports, wanted to play. This one hated it, but we wanted him to be involved in team activities because you know what, Gary? Being part of a team is very good for your life. It's a concept you should probably learn. So in terms of his basketball team, okay, one of my friends drafted him, big Hurricanes fan, and my son hated playing. And he was constantly fouling the opponents so he can get out of the game. And so one game, he has 4 fouls in the first half, and I yelled to him, I say, Andy, be careful, you only have 1 more foul left. And he immediately grabs the kid next to him and throws him on the ground for his 5th foul, so he got fouled out. So, that's almost to the extent that the same personal foul penalties are being called on Jacoby George. It's almost like he wants to have them called. You have to lose your mind or want to be a lunatic in that area. I don't understand how it kept happening to him that somebody says something to him and he reacts so violently or without thinking. You've got to process to the point where that's not going to happen, or you're not going to play for Mario Cristobal. And so that's a concern for him. So again, we come back to Xavier Restrepo, who doesn't take the top off defenses and nothing else. No tight ends, no receivers. They desperately, in my opinion, need either a transfer portal tight end who is a great receiving tight end or a great proven receiving wide receiver. Down the field, a 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guy with speed. Because short of that, I'm not sure that a great quarterback will be able to really reach his potential at the University of Miami. That's my concern. That's all.
All right, so we have a comprehensive.
You waited so patiently. I kept waiting. I was egging you on to get you to interrupt me, and you wouldn't do it. Even when I said that you're not a team player, you wouldn't interrupt me.
I'm trying to behave. I am. You're actually a little positive this morning, so I'm letting you go. So we have a comprehensive look at the quarterback position on the website today. I'm sure some of you are probably a little worn out of talking quarterbacks, but it's an exciting time at quarterback for Miami, and so check that out if you get a chance. All right, let's shift gears now, Matt, and talk basketball for a few minutes. Those of you that aren't basketball fans, we promise not to get too long-winded, but this is a turning point, crossroads of the season for Miami. They have not been playing well lately. They've dropped a couple games, and now they got a very dangerous Florida State team coming in here after they blew the last home game to Louisville, which only is the worst team in the ACC this year. Okay, they blew a home game to that team. Just a horrible, abysmal loss that, at least for me, Matt, has changed my entire outlook on the season and this team. They have to win it back. They really do, and I'm sure a lot of people are in that boat. And tonight is a start. Okay, you're playing a Florida State team that's well coached, that it has been playing well lately. They've beaten a couple of the teams that you've lost to, and you need to make a statement on your home court tonight that, we've been struggling a little bit the last couple of weeks, but we are going to be a force this season as this ACC schedule marches onward, and we are going to be a force in March. And there's only one way to prove it. That's on the court. Matt, it starts tonight against Florida State, in my opinion.
Right. Well, Gary, you did tell me that you were more upset about the Louisville loss than going to Hooters and finding out it was closed. But Matthew Cleveland was the topic. This is the Miami reporters. I went to the press conference yesterday with Jim Larrañaga and players. And the media, I don't understand. I've covered sports for too long. I still don't understand some of my fellow media members. This is a team that has been so inconsistent. This is a team that has been amazing at times, playing like a team, very rarely, but a few times, scoring points like crazy, and has just disintegrated at other times, played great halves, played terrible halves, just total inconsistency. And it's a huge game against Florida State coming up. And all these reporters wanted to talk about was either the Florida State roster and how so many people play for Florida State, or Matthew Cleveland. The media was obsessed with Matthew Cleveland because he played for Florida State. It's like the low-hanging fruit,
Maybe an obvious thing to be interested in.
Multiple questions to Larrañaga about Matthew Cleveland. Multiple questions to the two players that spoke to us, Nigel Pack and Wooga Poplar, about Matthew Cleveland. I don't freaking care about Matthew Cleveland. I care about the game. And guess what reporter asked Jim Larrañaga? I don't remember the exact question, but this reporter said something like, hey, Jim, your team has been, super inconsistent. Would you agree with that? And do you see consistency coming now? Guess what reporter asked that actual question?
Who?
Me. I asked that. Because these other reporters were asking about Matthew Cleveland and the FSU roster. And the funny thing is, not funny, but, I appreciated Jim Larrañaga's response. And I love Jim Larrañaga as a person, and I think he's a great coach. But his answer, and the reason I like him as an interviewee, is because he could have given the whole coach speak thing. Oh, yeah, we're getting better. We're working on it, blah, 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 blah. And who cares? But what he said is, I don't know how to correct it. Okay? And his addendum to that is he's had so many players who are constantly missing practice. Wooga Poplar missed practice 2 days ago. Nigel Pack's been in and out of practice. Wooga himself said he's at about 75% when he spoke to us yesterday. So how do you, and he's right, how do you correct consistency problems when you can't even get guys to go full speed at practice or even practice with your starting five who are part of your starting five?
Yeah, it's disrupted their development. There's no question about it.
There's no question about it. And he mentioned that when they played well, which has been far and few between, they're sharing the ball, they're hitting their shots, and they're helping each other defensively. But when you can't practice that stuff and all these moving parts, and it's almost like timing in football, since somebody else talked about basketball, between the quarterback and receiver. Like if you just show up on game day and you're trying to hit this amazing 4-3 receiver in stride down the field as a quarterback, like it's not that easy. Like that's not how it works. You have to rep it and rep it and rep it to really know the second gear of the receiver, how the receiver likes to get the ball delivered to him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what the problem is in basketball is they can't get their timing down. They can't mesh as a unit. And I'm almost happy about that in a sense, because it means when they get back to full health at some point, there's hope. When they can get a full week or two of actual practice together, then we can find out what this team actually looks like, because I feel like we have not seen the Miami Hurricanes 2023-2024 team yet because of some of these injuries that have cropped up and because they can't work on correcting the issues that Jim Larrañaga didn't know existed until game 3, 4, 5, whatever it was, when they started having some defensive issues. So I'm looking forward to the day when Jim Larrañaga can answer my question by saying, Matthew Cleveland will have a great game today. And yes, the Florida State roster is amazing, because that's all he talked about yesterday, except for my question. So when he can actually say, yeah, we're able to practice now and we think we're improving the defense or whatever, like, yeah, that'll be nice to hear.
Well, Matthew Cleveland, since we're talking about him, to me has really been a glue for them this year. I mean, nobody expected that to be the case. He was supposed to just be the complimentary guy coming in, but he's been pretty darn good. And at times has been the best player on the floor for Miami this year. So he's going to be highly motivated to have a big game tonight. There's no doubt about it. And this is a huge game for the program in general and their hopes this year. So if you're able to get out there, I encourage you to go tonight, cheer the team on. It's a big one for them in terms of setting the tone and the mood moving forward here into the middle and latter part of the season as they gear up for March Madness. All right, a couple other stories that are on the website this morning. Most of them recruiting related. We catch up with New Iberia Westgate, 4-star cornerback Jabari Antoine. His stock has been soaring lately, and the Miami Hurricanes have been there through all that. The Canes have offered Antoine, and they are one of his top programs. So check that story out. That's on the website today. We also have a story on Laverne Bonita, 2025 4-star linebacker Noah McHale. He, again, is very interested in Miami. Miami's doing a great job of recruiting him. So make sure you check out those stories on the website today. Our 30 for 30 series does continue. We're up to number 16 right now. And number 16 is Nigel E. Kelly. We've already had stories on Samson Okinola, Marquise Williams, Josh Horton, Savion Riley, A.J. Allen, Riley Williams, Emery Williams, Jadeus Richard, Ray Joseph, Elijah Arroyo, Wesley Basaint, Matthew McCoy, Darryl Porter, and Henry Parrish. And now we're at number 16. That's Nigel E. Kelly. So make sure you check that out. And if you missed any of the other stories in our countdown, you can go back and take a look at those as well. If you're on YouTube right now and you like this show, like this channel, hit your subscribe and like buttons.
Nobody likes the show. I'll save you the trouble.
Yeah, but if they do, I'm taking the chance that they do. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube and growing our audience.
Do you even know what the algorithms at YouTube are, or you say that? Like, what does that even mean?
You have algorithms
that blah 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 at YouTube.
If people subscribe and people like it changes the calculations and it shows up in more people's streams, mailboxes,
you know what, that actually makes sense. That's the first thing you said. That's the first thing you ever said that makes sense.
Traffic,
okay? It makes a lot more sense than you saying that, all the quarterbacks named Will in the country are just as good as Cam Ward. That actually makes sense now. Now I understand Algorithms are good.
Yes. And if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, I'm going to throw a special up on the screen for you right now. We have a special offer, $1 for your first 2 months. You can come on over, become a member of CaneSport, get to know our great community of fans. They have a lot of time. They beat the crap out of each other a lot.
No, can I tell you something?
Oh my
Fans,
God.
listen, when you go to buy clothes, okay? If they have a special rack where the clothes are $1, or they have their regular clothes where the clothes are $50, I'm going to the clothes that are $50 because the $1 clothes, there's something wrong with them. So the special should not be $1. It should be like $25. Make it like something where it actually seems like getting value for the money. $1 people expect nothing.
Some people like to be able to try things out before they take the plunge. Hopefully, when it comes to CaneSport.com, we work our butts off every day to try to make this website as great as we can make it for you guys and enhance your fan experience. So hopefully, once you come and try it out, you will want to stay. But yes, we do have this inducement. I know it's not a lot of money.
Do you buy the $1 shirt or do you buy the $50 shirt?
It depends. If the $1 shirt is worth $50, I'm buying the $1 shirt.
Obviously, it's not worth $50 if it's $1. It's literally worth $1.
Would you agree that CaneSport.com is worth $50 or $100 a year?
Yeah. So why is it $1?
To give people a break coming in the door. We've done it for everybody else through the years.
Let me tell you something. The same person that I was talking about earlier, who coached my son's ill-fated basketball team, he will not buy things on sale. He will only pay retail because if they're on sale, he feels there's something wrong with it. That's the truth.
Okay,
he will not.
So can I say something? You don't have to take the special. Like, we would love for you to just sign up for a year.
Have another option. Like, have the $1 option, but then have the $50 option for people who feel like the $1 option is for like weird people.
We would listen.
Buy cheap stuff.
They can pay full price. There's nothing stopping them from just paying full price.
That should be the advertisement.
You know what?
That should be what you're saying.
Gary, Matt, and Ruby, Steven, these guys are great. They run a great website.
Write this down.
I'm just going to pay full price.
Write this down.
Worry about the introductory special.
Correct.
Because I appreciate what they do for us as fans. There's a lot of people that are probably like that.
Write this down. This is what you should be saying. You can buy a 1-year subscription to CaneSport. What is it? $149 now? How much is it?
$120, I think.
Okay. Buy a 1-year subscription to CaneSport for $120, or if you're a cheap weirdo, get the $1 promotion special. That should be what you're saying. Period. Like, that's it. Not just get the $1, pay $1, and expect all this magical stuff to happen.
Twisted way like Matt, or you don't, and you just want to be a member, and you're happy for $8 a month or $9 a month that you get enormous value being a subscriber to the site. Head on over to CaneSport.com. Join our community of fans. You will not be sorry. It's a great time there every single day. All right, time for me to get away from you. So thank you so much for starting out your day with us this morning. For Pain in the Butt, Matt, I'm Gary. We will see you next time, everybody.